Okay, hi everybody. This is Alex from Germany. I had a closer look on the land wheel trucks and I will find some of my findings with you. So we know that the base plate doesn't fit the hanger. I have posted some pictures before. I found out this at the very first moment when I got my first land wheel board back in January 2016. I step on it, wanted to just to push some few meters, and I could not turn with it. So I changed the bushings immediately, and even after I changed the bushings, I tried out many different bushings. It was not good for me. Then I had a closer look at the trucks and found out that there is this air gap in the pivot cup. What I did yesterday was I discovered that if I take a Randall R2 base plate, the land wheel hanger will fit perfectly with this Randall base plate. So it will align the kingpin, there is a cup washer, will align the kingpin perfectly through the middle of this hole. Okay, so I gave this one a try, mounted it. First I mounted the land wheel trucks to this board and just two front trucks without a motor, and wanted to see how it behaved when I used the land wheel trucks. Afterwards I mounted the land wheel hanger with the Randall base plate and I wanted to feel the difference, if the geometry was fine finally. But what I did before, I tested the land wheel truck, I changed the bushings, because all the bushings that came with the land wheel trucks were not good in my opinion. So to have a good comparison, I used the same bushings within the land wheel base plate with the land wheel hanger, and even I used the same bushings afterwards with the Randall base plate and the land wheel hanger. But to fit those taller bushings into the land wheel hanger, I need a longer kingpin. So this is the first finding. Here is the Randall kingpin, and this is longer than the original land wheel kingpin. So first we need a longer kingpin, because else, if I mount some taller, I have double cone bushings that fit quite good for me. If I want to mount these double cone bushings with the land wheel truck, I need a longer kingpin, else it won't fit. One other thing. Do you see, even if I have very tall bushings, there is still a gap here. So if I want to align my hanger angle to the base plate angle, I have to put like 2 or maybe 3 cup washers here, else it will not be in line from the angle. But what I want to say with that is there is only one way we can put the land wheel hanger, because the other way around it fits just perfectly. So there is one side that has a deeper bushing seat, and this side with the deeper bushing seat has to be up, else the geometry will also not be good. And if I put a small top bushing here, there is another problem, that on this side, if I mount the cup washer tends to, while turning, the cup washer tends to touch the hanger. So we definitely want to have a taller top bushing, and to mount that we also need longer kingpins. Alright, so now my tests. First I mounted the land wheel truck as it is, with the air gap in the pivot cup. I used those new bushings, and with these bushings it was quite okay. It was not really bad. It turned somehow. Then I changed the setup to the Randall base plate. Now the pivot was sitting firmly down where it belongs, in its hole. And I expected it to become much better. But the problem was, I was a little bit surprised. It was not better. It felt like not turny at all. There was no lean of the trucks. Everything was like very hard. And when I wanted to do some turns, the trucks closed very soon. So I could not do quite a lot of turns. This surprised me at first glance, but after I thought a little bit about it, I know why this is like that. Because normally, if you have a 50-degree, no, I take this other one. If you have a 50-degree truck angle, the load is to some extent on the pivot, to another extent it's on the bushing area. Just in theory, imagine you had a truck angle of 90 degree. Then all the load would be on the pivot cup. Imagine you had 0 degree angle, then all the load would be on the bushings. So in a normal truck, the load is shared by the bushings and the pivot. But as there is the air gap in the land wheel trucks, all the load in the land wheel setup is on the bushings. So after I changed the base plate to the Rundle base plate with the same bushings I used before, this setup was not turny because the bushings was much harder, because there was not so much pressure on the bushings than before. Now there was a lot of force going into the pivot, and the trucks with the same bushings than on the land wheel setup did not feel that good, because they appeared to be a lot harder, because much more of the force was going into the pivot section and not so much force on the bushings. So finally, I have a lot of those in very different durometers. Finally, I took the Rundle base plate and mounted softer bushings, and then I got a perfect turny board, as it should be. So my conclusion is, we need a base plate that fits the hanger from land wheel. This will be very important. Second, we need longer kingpins. And then finally, we need appropriate bushings whatsoever, maybe like flat washers or cup washers, it doesn't matter. But the main problem is the hanger and the base plate have to fit. Okay, thanks a lot, guys.